Amigos, te lo cuento yo, como lo hemos venido haciendo, nos estamos conectando con la señal de la Casa Blanca. En minutos se espera que el equipo que está llevando la situación del coronavirus de rueda de prensa y comience a contestar preguntas. Vamos a tratar de ir traduciéndolo en la medida de lo posible. Sin embargo, la mayor parte de la información seguramente será en inglés. En cualquier momento estarían entonces ya la Casa Blanca hablando el día de hoy de lo que es esta situación del coronavirus. Recordemos que el día de ayer el presidente de Estados Unidos declaró emergencia nacional y que el día de hoy, como ustedes saben, continúa la situación de manera complicada. En Kansas han anunciado un quinto caso de coronavirus y este caso sería el primero que sería no por viaje, sino de manera de contagio directo de una persona a otra. Voy a ver, se me hace, vamos a tener que esperar, pero voy a tratar de, mientras se hace esta conexión y vemos, esperamos que salga el equipo de prensa o el equipo de que está llevando, mejor dicho, la situación del coronavirus desde la Casa Blanca, tratar de darle las últimas actualizaciones de las noticias, de las cifras que se están manejando en Estados Unidos hasta esta hora, 11:09 de la mañana, hora del centro de los Estados Unidos. La CDC, que es la encargada de dar los datos oficiales, está presentando a esta hora los estados con mayores casos hasta el momento. Está Nueva York con 325 casos, Washington, el estado, con 457 y le sigue California con 224. Situaciones complicadas, podríamos decir, estaría teniendo, o se podría decir que los que continúan teniendo, está Florida con 31 casos, Texas tiene 24 casos, Illinois 32, Colorado cerca de los 50 casos, el estado de Virginia tiene 29 casos y en Missouri se reportan hasta el momento 4 casos y en el estado de Kansas estaría hablando de 5 casos. Dentro de los casos más preocupantes en el estado de Kansas particularmente, se ha descubierto que una de las personas contagiadas provendría del mismo centro de cuidados de adultos de Washington. El dueño de este centro de cuidados sería la persona que de alguna manera trajo el virus a esta zona del país. Si tienen alguna pregunta, yo se las puedo tratar de ir contestando mientras estamos esperando esta rueda de prensa, y además les pido que nos dejen sus comentarios para nosotros poder saber, y si nos pueden también dejar saber de dónde se conectan para nosotros poder también tratar de buscar información. Aquí dice Nilsson que aclara el presidente que culpables militares son responsables de ingresar el virus a territorio chino. Esto son las especulaciones que se han hecho. El gobierno chino ha acusado al gobierno de los Estados Unidos del virus. El gobierno de Estados Unidos dice que el virus comenzó en China. Lo cierto de toda esta situación es que hasta el momento, hasta el día de hoy, hay muchas personas contagiadas. Vemos que está Cecilia conectándose desde Miami y sabemos que en Miami las clases han sido suspendidas y además de eso, pues el alcalde de Miami ha también dado positivo. Venezolanos en Colombia, la frontera está cerrada. Mientras ustedes se van conectando, yo voy a tratar de ir viendo sus comentarios y en la medida de lo posible explicarles lo que está pasando. Colombia ha cerrado sus fronteras con Venezuela. Eso lo ha hecho el día de hoy, ello para evitar el contagio. También el otro anuncio que ha hecho el gobierno colombiano en el día de ayer habla sobre la limitación de la entrada de extranjeros a territorio colombiano. Personas que hayan viajado a los países de Europa y Asia no van a poder ingresar a territorio colombiano. Si son colombianos, los van a dejar ingresar, pero van a tener que estar en una estricta cuarentena. En los Estados Unidos la situación ha sido de alguna manera tensa, las personas se están abasteciendo en los lugares en los supermercados y se comienzan a ver anaqueles vacíos, ya que pues las personas no están pudiendo tener todas sus necesidades o teniendo todas las cosas en su casa preparándose para una posible cuarentena. Las clases han sido suspendidas o pasado a online en muchas zonas del país y además de eso, se estaría entonces tratando de ver cómo va a ser el proceso para avanzar en función de respetar la cuarentena. Los problemas más serios que estaría presentando Estados Unidos en este momento es que lamentablemente hasta el momento no todo el mundo que ha debido recibir la prueba del coronavirus la ha podido recibir y esto ha hecho que la situación se complique un poco. Vamos a ver qué van a decir las autoridades. Entendemos que en cualquier momento van a salir en vivo. Esta señal se está conectando, ya están unos 6 minutos desde la Casa Blanca. El vicepresidente de la República estaría siendo Mike Pence, estaría siendo la persona encargada de dar esta rueda de prensa o sería el principal vocero, ya que es el encargado, además de todo el equipo que está trabajando para organizar el tema del coronavirus. La importante destacar, aquí me dice, esto es lamentable, esta enfermedad que llegó a todos los países, aquí en la frontera cerraron. No sé desde dónde Jorge está escribiendo, pero los vamos leyendo. Ciertamente hay muchas fronteras que están cerradas. El Salvador ha impedido el ingreso de sus ciudadanos hasta no de sus ciudadanos, de extranjeros, mejor dicho, por 21 días. Y permítanme, y les voy a tratar, mientras no se da esta rueda de prensa, no comienza, de darle las cifras de cómo vamos a nivel del mundo, específicamente de los países que de alguna forma a nosotros como ciudadanos hispanos nos afectan. En el caso de México, hasta el momento se confirman 15 casos, 4 personas estarían recuperadas y 11 casos estarían activos. Avanzamos a Guatemala, hay un caso activo en el momento. Seguimos para Honduras. En Honduras hay 3 casos que estarían confirmados. Costa Rica tiene 26 casos. Panamá tiene 36 casos y ya reporta una persona fallecida. En el caso de Colombia hay 16 casos. En el caso de Venezuela se estaría hablando de 2 casos hasta el momento. Martinica tiene 9 casos. Vamos a ir. Puerto Rico estaría presentando 2 casos. Jamaica tiene 8 casos. Colombia, ya les dije que tiene 16. Pasamos a Ecuador con 17 casos y una persona fallecida. Perú, 38 casos. Brasil sería uno de los que tiene más casos con 151. Paraguay, 6 casos. Bolivia, 10 casos. Uruguay, 4 casos. Argentina, 31 casos. Chile con 43. Los países que siguen teniendo dificultades son Italia, que su cifra ha llegado a 17.000 personas y es el segundo país con más personas fallecidas. La cifra ya supera más de las 1.200. Irán con 12.000 también contagiados y una cifra aproximada de 600 personas fallecidas. Corea del Sur con 8.000 personas y estaría también Alemania, Francia, seguido de Estados Unidos. Hay que recordar que España también ya tiene una cifra de 6.000 personas contagiadas. Seguimos esperando esta rueda de prensa que comience y como les repito, si tienen preguntas acerca de un país, se las vamos a ir contestando. Estamos esperando la rueda de prensa del gobierno de los Estados Unidos con los detalles de lo que es esta situación. Nos encantaría saber que nos comenten desde dónde se están conectando y como siempre les decimos, traten de compartir esta transmisión que estamos haciendo en directo. Cuando comience la rueda de prensa va a ser en inglés, pero vamos a ir tratando de traducir en la medida de lo posible lo que sea más importante o los datos más claves de esta alocución que van a hacer, esta rueda de prensa que van a estar haciendo desde la Casa Blanca. Ya llevamos cerca de 10 minutos esperando porque comience esta transmisión. Entendemos que en cualquier momento va a comenzar porque ustedes están viendo allí a los periodistas que están ya listos para también enlazarse. Es el tema fundamental, al menos en Estados Unidos por estos días, todo lo que tiene que ver con eventos ha sido prácticamente cancelado. La liga de béisbol, la NBA, ha cancelado. Lo mismo ha pasado con el béisbol, ha sido cancelado. Lo que son las luchas libres han hecho... han tenido sus eventos de manera individual. En el caso de Costa Rica, nosotros tenemos enviados en Costa Rica y estoy viendo porque se conecta Nancy desde Costa Rica. Mientras ustedes se vayan conectando y yo vaya viendo de dónde son, voy a tratar de darles información precisa del país que ustedes preguntan. Hasta el último chequeo que yo tenía, Costa Rica ya tenía 26 personas y sabemos que las calles de... la ciudad de la capital de Costa Rica han estado vacías. Las personas están tratando de acatar la situación, tratando de evitar que el contagio. Recuerden que la única manera de evitar el contagio del coronavirus es aislamiento, y es por eso que la única manera es estar en casa y esperar a que pase este tiempo de cuarentena, ya que esta curva, que es inevitable en todos los países, pues sea lo menos traumática posible y no aumente de manera desproporcionada. Vamos a ver si seguimos esperando. Ustedes están viendo allí que han dejado solamente la imagen. Ahí pareciera que se abre la puerta. No van a salir aún. Quizás estamos esperando esa puerta azul que ustedes vieron, es por donde va a salir el equipo de gobierno de los Estados Unidos para ofrecer las declaraciones. Y allí ya, ahora sí, vienen y comienza entonces esta rueda de prensa. Pareciera que están esperando entonces por el vicepresidente Mike Pence para comenzar con esta rueda de prensa y dar los detalles de lo que estaría sucediendo el día de hoy con el coronavirus. Seguramente ofrecerán las cifras oficiales de lo que va en la jornada.
Thank you very much. We just completed a very good meeting of the coronavirus task force, and they're really doing a great job, our professionals. The results are very good, and when you compare this to what's happening around the world, we're very proud of our people. There's been a tremendous amount of coordination with states, with cities, and they're a little smaller form of government, and they have things going well. They're coordinating with us, and
asegura que ha coordinado con los estados y las ciudades y que está saliendo de esta reunión.
The relationship. New York has been really good. We've had some really good relationships in terms of especially the hotspots.
Asegura que está trabajando de muy buena forma en los lugares que tienen más contagios y no han tenido problemas con...
Before I turn this over to our great vice president,
le va a pasar la palabra al vicepresidente. Y asegura que le quiere agradecer a las personas que están detrás de él, incluso las que están en el otro cuarto. Y ellos están trabajando. Se está trabajando para lograr destruir el virus. Entonces, ha pedido $8.3 billones al Congreso y le agradezco al Congreso por haberme dado el dinero. Ayer declaré emergencia nacional y ellos y eso va a liberar más de $50 billones y esto va a ser para los estados, las ciudades. Y hay un paquete nuevo legislativo para dar soporte a las familias.
done very, very bipartisan.
Y es un proyecto bipartidista.
It was very nice to see it. Probably
Y,
deep cooperation. I want to thank
y es muy bueno ver esta
Secretary of
cooperación.
Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, who did a fantastic job and worked with Nancy Pelosi and their representatives, and it was really great. Worked out very well, and a lot of people are benefiting by it. A lot of provisions in the bill which they're going to be discussing with you today, and they're tremendous provisions. So that's something that
Hay algunas previsiones que van a hablar de lo que sí.
Stock market
habla sobre la bolsa de valores y asegura que le agrada ver que la bolsa de valores haya subido de manera récord el viernes en una hora.
I think we should do one of them every day, perhaps. How about 5 times a day? We'll do one 5 times a day. But that was something to watch, and I had no idea. We walked back. I said, "So how did that work out?" They said, "Sir, you just set a new record in the history of the stock market." So that was
Él asegura que se ha creado un nuevo récord en la bolsa de valores y que las empresas están muy contentas de lo que han visto.
So they did a good job. And more importantly, they're going to do a good job. When you look at CVS and Walmart and all of the
Él asegura que las empresas van a estar muy bien porque han visto cómo las empresas como CVS o Walmart están trabajando y han sido uno de sus mejores días. Es algo que no ha pasado nunca antes.
The bill provides for free coronavirus testing for all Americans who should be tested.
La legislatura que van a sacar, todo el mundo va a tener un examen de coronavirus si lo requiere y va a ser completamente gratis. Eso es un examen complejo, pero todo el mundo. Todo el mundo va a tener un examen gratis de coronavirus en Estados Unidos. Y todo el que necesite van a pagar días de enfermedad a las personas y también pagar días de enfermedad a las personas que estén cuidando a sus niños porque estén enfermos. Son parte de la legislatura entonces que está anunciando el presidente Donald Trump. Estados Unidos está en su mejor momento financieramente. En este momento Estados Unidos está fuerte financieramente. Hemos logrado que la Reserva Federal
we can all do them together, but they should be much more proactive. Other boards and other countries and people representing those countries are taking a much more aggressive action than our
Hay otros países que están tomando acciones mucho más agresivas.
If you look at central banks yesterday, what they did, we want to see our Federal Reserve be much more proactive.
Él le pide a la Reserva Federal, o le gustaría que la Reserva Federal fuera un poco más activa.
That have been really well received. I guess you saw that yesterday at the end of the day with what we've done. We have a lot of things to tell you in terms of respirators, in terms of all of the different.
Tenemos muchas más cosas que decirles, sobre todo sobre los respiradores, máscaras que se están haciendo cerca de millones. Están ordenándolas para el peor escenario.
That's where we're going. So I just want to thank everybody. I think the press has been really, over the last 24 hours, I think the representation's really been very fair for the most part. It's been very fair. We're all in this together. It's something that nobody expected. It came out of China.
Todos estamos juntos en esto y repite que el virus vino de China, que no es culpa de Estados Unidos y que eso lo tenemos que resolver. Es un problema que lo tenemos que resolver todos.
In the way they've acted, there's been, and if you look at companies and sports leagues and all of the
y ustedes tienen que ver lo que han hecho las compañías, las ligas de deportes. Todo el mundo ha hecho algo especial sin que le hayamos tenido que decir que tenían que hacerlo. Todo el mundo quiere que esto pase y quieren que pase con el menor número de En ese
A lot of good
instante
decisions were
anuncia
made, or that number could be many times that.
que hay
It's based on a
50
lot of good
personas
decisions.
fallecidas en
One or two in
Estados Unidos por
particular.
el
You know
virus.
that Europe was
Viendo lo que está
declared
pasando
the
en
hotspot
Europa,
yesterday, a big hotspot, and number one.
que zona roja, que fue viendo lo que ha pasado en Europa.
Prior to that, but we saw what was happening. But if you have any questions,
Si ustedes tienen alguna pregunta,
very happy to do it. But I just want to say they have been led by
pero
Mike Pence. They have been
ellos están
incredible. The job they do. They're working 20
liderados
hours
por
This man is working 20
el
hours
vicepresidente
a day,
Mike Pence, y ellos están trabajando más de 20 horas
Tony's been
diarias.
working, I'm just looking at this whole group, and we've created a number of new stars, including the gentleman right behind me. I watched him the other day. It was such a fantastic job you did. I really appreciate it.
Y está agradeciéndole a su equipo.
Questions, and we have a lot of new information, so I think you'll find it very interesting.
Y tiene mucha más información. Él va a irse a su oficina. Están preguntando sobre las personas que están yendo preocupadas a las tiendas a comprar mucha comida, y le pide que explique a la gente. Y habla sobre cómo la compañía Apple ha decidido cerrar todas sus tiendas por 2 semanas. Y cree que lo que está haciendo Apple es correcto. Es lo mejor que puede pasar. Para que sepan, yo tuve mi temperatura medida y salí bien, para que sepan todos.
Good. Well, that means we're all looking good. I also took the test.
También el presidente está anunciando que tomó el test.
And I decided I should, based on the press conference yesterday. People were asking did I take the test.
Y está anunciando que después de lo que se le pidió ayer, se ha hecho el test él también. Lo mandaron al laboratorio.
Respectfully, you've been sending mixed messages. We watched as you shook hands with people yesterday. You have talked about 5 million tests being available. Probably won't need that many. Has your own sense of urgency evolved, and are you changing what you're doing?
No, I've been urgent. This is urgent from me.
Le están preguntando al presidente si él está cambiando las cosas que está haciendo. Él cerró el país con China.
Almost becomes a habit, and you get out of that habit. And frankly, I was a non-handshaker for the most part. I never believed.
Y él cree que lo de estar juntando, saludando con la mano, pues es un hábito que él tenía y lo ha venido haciendo.
You know, just take it nice and easy. Okay? Just relax. People come up to me, they shake hands, they put their hand out. It's sort of a natural reflex, and we're all getting out of it. All of us have that problem. Somebody comes up to you, they put their hand out, you probably tend to just shake it. And we're all getting out of that. Shaking hands is not a great thing to be doing right now.
Él dice que todos debemos dejar de saludarnos con las manos, pero a veces lo hacemos de manera natural y no lo pensamos.
Somebody said yesterday, I touched the microphone.
Alguien, y él está hablando sobre cómo él tocó el micrófono y lo hizo de manera natural. Y alguien va a tener que tocar las cosas. Todos tenemos que dejar de saludarnos con las manos. Y realmente deberíamos ya de dejar de saludarnos con las manos por mucho tiempo. Cuando tenemos el flu, mata aproximadamente a 36,000 personas al año solo en Estados Unidos.
And we're going to try and keep that number as low as
en este momento,
the Pentagon is telling service members and their families not to travel domestically.
El Pentágono le está diciendo a sus empleados que no viajen de manera doméstica. ¿Usted qué le dice a las personas? No queremos que mucha gente quede infectada. Queremos que esto termine pronto.
behind me have not been given the credit that they deserve.
Y yo creo que la gente que está detrás de mí no ha tenido el crédito que merece. Cuando ustedes ven todo lo que se ha cerrado,
the bill that we signed yesterday takes care of a lot of those problems with children staying at home and the parents are working. Now we take care of that issue with what we passed last night. Now it has to go through the Senate. I have to sign it, but that will happen. But I'm now going back to the White House. You have great professionals, and if there's anything that comes up, if there's anything.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to follow up on that. Are you considering other travel restrictions?
La pregunta que le están haciendo en este momento, él está pensando, le pregunta si él está pensando sobre.
And we're working with the states, and we are considering other restrictions.
El presidente está anunciando, y es muy importante que le presten atención, que están considerando hacer restricciones de viaje de manera interna dentro de Estados Unidos.
Activity, unfortunately, so we're going to be looking at that. We actually already have looked at it, and that is going to be announced.
Dice que puede ser anunciado pronto. Creo que eso es lo más importante.
You just criticized the Fed yet again. If I could just get a little clarity on your thinking on this. It's been a hallmark of your presidency. You're always going after the Fed. If you feel so strongly about it, why don't you dismiss the chairman, or do you think you're powerless to do so?
No, I think I have the right to do that, or the right to remove him as chairman. He has so far made a lot of bad decisions, in my opinion. We had this great, and we will soon have again, because I think you're going to have a tremendous bounce when this is over. I think there's a pent-up bounce that's going to be tremendous. I think you saw that yesterday with the stock market. Now, I'm not happy with the Fed because I think that they're following, not leading. We should be leading. I'm not happy because if you look at the central banks of other central banks.
Ahora está hablando de que no está contento con la Reserva Federal porque ha visto que los bancos centrales del mundo han trabajado en función de minimizar la crisis.
In some cases, it's a lot. In some cases, very substantially. And I thought that the Fed would be and should be much more proactive as opposed to following.
Y él cree que la Reserva Federal debería de ser más proactiva y no debería estar solamente siguiendo.
We have by far the strong currency. Also, you look at the dollar, the strength of the dollar.
Está hablando sobre la moneda y lo fuerte que está haciendo el dólar.
We shouldn't have a Fed rate that's higher than our competitor nations. You look at Germany; they're essentially under zero. They're negative. There are many countries negative. Japan is negative. Germany is negative. Others are negative. And we're paying higher interest rates. And what I'd like to do is, frankly, refinance our debt.
Está hablando de que estaría hablando, o lo que quisiera hacer es que se refinancie la deuda de Estados Unidos.
I have the right to remove. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I have the right to also take him and put him in a regular position and put somebody else in charge. And I haven't made any decisions on that.
Se retira entonces el presidente de los Estados Unidos y deja al equipo de trabajo y al vicepresidente para que hablen de esta rueda de prensa y vamos a escuchar los anuncios que van a hacer. Creo que lo más importante en este instante es que se está evaluando el cierre interno de las restricciones de viaje de manera interna dentro de los Estados Unidos.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Mr. President just said we just completed the White House coronavirus task force meeting in the Situation Room, and we continue to implement the President's vision, not just for a whole of government response to the coronavirus, but a whole of America approach. The focus of our task force today and going forward is on implementing the President's public and private partnership.
En este momento van a implementar lo que son los planes de público y privado para hacer los exámenes de coronavirus y hablar con los gobiernos locales y los gobiernos regionales para mitigar y sobre todo en las áreas donde estamos viendo que el virus se está regando en las comunidades.
On addressing capacity issues in our hospitals and with regard
y chequear lo que son las capacidades de los hospitales. Y quiero nuevamente volver a agradecer al equipo que está detrás mío, pero a todas las agencias federales por el trabajo que están haciendo cada día.
All of the governors across the country. I'll be speaking again to all the governors, all 50 states and the territories tomorrow. But as the
mañana va a haber
president
una
said yesterday
reunión
in the
con
Rose Garden,
todos los
we couldn't be more
gobernadores
grateful
y
for
están muy
all of the governors,
agradecidos con
particularly in
todos los
areas where we've
gobernadores
had community
y con
spread,
todo, particularmente
for
en
the
los
seamless
gobernadores donde
cooperation that's
tienen
taking place. And
las
we commend
dificultades que se está
local health
regando el virus,
authorities and all of
con
those who are
los
literally on the
lugares,
front lines.
con las
Also
agencias
grateful for all the
locales
businesses that you saw in high relief yesterday, businesses around the country,
y también con las
sports and
empresas
entertainment and
que
retail
han
that are making
decidido cerrar.
decisions based on CDC
Y
guidelines
ellos todos lo han
and
hecho
good common
siguiendo
sense to protect the
la
American
guía
people.
del
And lastly,
CDC.
as the president also said, we
Y
we
como
just
el
want to thank the American
presidente
people
lo está diciendo, queremos
for
agradecerle
listening to local authorities,
a los
listening
americanos por
to
escuchar
recommendations
a las
from the
autoridades,
CDC.
a las autoridades
We'll
locales,
hear
por
more
escuchar a
about
la
that in just a
CDC.
moment
Y
from
vamos a
Dr.
escuchar
Fauci
más en un momento.
and Dr. Birx.
Y van a escuchar.
But as we're seeing, not surprisingly, as we've seen in the past, the American people are all responding to look after not only their own health, but their families and their
Pueden darse cuenta
communities.
que todos los
And,
americanos están
one story
respondiendo.
after another is truly
Es una
inspiring
historia detrás de la
to the
otra,
president and to all of us.
en todos.
As you know, it's been a brisk few days. The president declared a national emergency
Han
yesterday,
sido,
freeing up
ayer el presidente
significant federal
declaró
resources
emergencia nacional y lo que
for
nos
state and
dio
local authorities
recursos
as well
para,
as our national response.
los estados y
The
el
president
gobierno
announced that
federal.
unprecedented public and private partnership on testing.
Anunció
Let me
lo
say
que
that,
es
at
este
5 o'clock
plan
tomorrow,
para los
we
tests.
will be detailing the progress that our
El
team
día
is
de
making.
mañana
I
van a
can
dar
tell
los
you they're
detalles de
literally
cómo se
working
va
around the
a dar
clock
este proceso
with private
para,
companies.
con las
We are
compañías
very
privadas y
pleased
públicas para
that
lograr
Thermo Fisher
hacer
was just
los
approved last
exámenes.
night by the FDA in record time to also be providing what's called a high throughput test that will actually increase the capacity of this public and private partnership. But again, details on that in terms of when the local sites will be available at CVS and Walgreens and Walmart and other locations, what communities those will initially be available in.
Mañana van a dar entonces los detalles sobre cómo las personas van a poder hacerse el virus de manera gratuita, de manera local, y va a ser a las 5 de la tarde, hora del este, que van a dar los detalles.
Passed legislation which addressed the priorities that President Trump had laid out for the American people in the weeks before that. I want to join President Trump in thanking Speaker Pelosi, Leader
Está
McCarthy,
agradeciéndole a la
Republicans
líder
and Democrats in the House of
Pelosi
Representatives, who, as the President
por
said earlier
lograr
today,
pasar,
pulled together
cómo han trabajado en conjunto ellos
together to pass
para
legislation
pasar las
that's meeting
legislaciones
this moment
que necesita este
bipartisan,
momento. Es una
health
actividad
first spirit that the American people
bipartidista
would expect.
y
The
para la
Secretary of
salud
the
de las
Treasury
personas.
will
Él está agradeciendo
detail
también al
the
secretario del
legislation, but to be clear, the deal that passed the House last night will head to the Senate early next week, delivers on the president's plan for strong health and economic support, particularly focused on those most impacted, including hardworking blue-collar Americans
está
who may
hablando
not
que los
currently have paid
trabajadores
family leave
azul
today.
y
It provides free
como
coronavirus testing for uninsured Americans,
todas
and
las
it builds
personas
on the decisions that
americanas que
President
no
Trump made
tengan seguro médico van a poder hacerse un
expanding
examen de
coverage
coronavirus
for
gratis.
Medicare, Medicaid,
Se
and
aumenta la
also
cobertura de
getting a
Medicaid
commitment
y
from private health
Medicare
insurance companies to join with us to waive all copays.
y
On
también le están pidiendo a las aseguradoras
testing. So now
que
testing will be free
inmediatamente
for every
las personas no tengan que
American.
pagar
Those who
ningún
have insurance,
costo,
Medicare, Medicaid, other
ningún
programs,
copay, como se
and
le
even
dice, ninguna
the uninsured.
cuando estén tengan que ir
Legislation
a
also
hacer
establishes
el
tax
test.
credits that the Secretary of the Treasury will describe that will provide paid sick
Van a
and
ser
family medical
créditos
leave for
fiscales
coronavirus-related employment
y
interruptions.
además
I expect
van a pagar
Dr. Birx
días
and
de
Dr. Fauci will
enfermedad
reiterate this. If
para
you
las
are sick,
personas. Sí,
now
las
you
personas.
need not be concerned if you're an hourly wage earner in America.
Si usted es una
You
persona
need
que
not be
trabaja
concerned
por
about staying home.
hora,
If you're sick, stay home.
si usted
You're not going to miss a paycheck because of this
si usted
legislation that's moving through the Congress. We'll make
está
sure
en su casa,
that your
si usted está enfermo, lo que
employer,
está diciendo,
including small businesses, have the ability to provide paid leave to you.
lo que quieren es
This also
proveerle a
provides
todo
funding
el
and
mundo que
flexibility
tenga
to ensure that senior
pago
citizens, women,
si está
children, and
enfermo.
low-income families have access to emergency nutritional assistance
También
and it
está
incentivizes
ofreciendo
states
emergencia
to ease
nutricional
access to employment benefits. Again, the
y
president and I are
beneficios
profoundly
de
grateful
desempleo para las personas que lo
for
requieran.
the bipartisan spirit that drove this legislation. And let me also say how grateful we are with the Secretary of the Treasury and the long hours that he put in negotiating this measure. Let me say also last night at midnight, the Department of Homeland Security implemented the President's decision to suspend all travel from Europe, passing through 13
La noche
airports.
de ayer comenzó
Acting
el
Secretary
ban para que las
Wolf
personas
will
no puedan
detail
viajar desde
the
Europa.
implementation of that. To be clear, countries where we have suspended travel under Section 212F, Americans may still return to the United States. Legal residents may still return. They are being screened at some 13 airports as we speak. If they are identified as being symptomatic for any illness, there is an additional response on site, but those Americans are being encouraged to return home and self-quarantine for 14 days.
Las personas que estén en Europa y que sean americanas van a poder regresar a los Estados Unidos, pero van a tener que estar en cuarentena.
In a few moments, I'll ask Dr. Fauci to update us on cases, as well as current CDC guidance for all Americans.
Y en minutos van a dar la información sobre el número de casos.
This week we issued specific guidance to about a half a dozen states where we've seen community spread.
Y van a dar indicaciones para cerca de una docena de estados donde han visto las
public-private partnership testing plan, and also speak about what the data is showing at this moment about the best guidance for every American. Acting Secretary Wolf and I both want to join the President in commending the cruise line industry. They made a decision yesterday. 85% of all the domestic cruise lines announced that they would be suspending cruise line
agradece a las compañías de cruceros, cerca de 86% de ellas han decidido suspender todas sus operaciones por 30 días.
Wolf will explain to you the importance of that decision. We want to commend the cruise line industry for working with us. And as we met last week on this day with cruise line industry executives, we're going to be working very vigorously over the next 30 days to implement new policies that will ensure that when the
muy
cruise lines
fuerte
start
con
back up,
ellos
they'll be
para
safer
que
and
ellos
healthier places
puedan
than ever before.
seguir
Great
avanzando y
industry.
trabajando
American
nuevamente
people
y
love it,
estén
enjoy
fuertes.
it, and we're going to make sure that it's there for many, many years to come. Also, as the President just foreshadowed in our task force meeting today, the President has made a decision to suspend all travel to the United Kingdom and Ireland
También anuncian que se suspenden
Monday night,
todos los viajes desde Irlanda y también desde Inglaterra. Esta suspensión comenzaría a partir del lunes. Los expertos presentaron información y todos de manera unánime recomendaron que se suspendan todas las movilizaciones con Irlanda y también con Inglaterra.
Americans in the UK or Ireland can come home.
Pero si hay americanos que estén en Inglaterra o en Irlanda, van a poder volver a Estados Unidos. Vengan acá.
We continue to emphasize that the risk of serious illness for the average American remains low.
Continúan pensando que el riesgo para los americanos es bajo. Pero la data muestra que las personas de avanzada edad con situaciones médicas complicadas son los más vulnerables. Se prohíben las visitas completamente en todas las casas hogar de adultos en todo el país.
Let's look after seniors with serious underlying health conditions and make sure that every American around them is practicing the best kind of hygiene, the best
y es muy importante que las personas que están alrededor de ellos practiquen la mejor higiene posible.
We'll hear also from Dr. Carson and the Surgeon General before we wrap up and take some questions.
Y vamos a escuchar de los doctores antes de escuchar algunas de sus preguntas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Just a quick review of the numbers as of late
Vamos a
afternoon.
chequear los
Yesterday, let
números.
me start off quickly globally, and then we'll go
Va a
to the United
empezar dando
States.
los números
Right
globales.
now, there are 129 countries that have involvement with coronavirus. Globally, the numbers are 132 plus thousand. So it's a little
Son
bit more than
129 países los que
132,000,
tienen
about
contagios en este momento
7,500 of which are new
y hay,
cases.
132,000 personas contagiadas,
And if you
132,000
look at what
personas.
was formerly the main feeder of this coronavirus outbreak was China. They have 80,000 or 81,000 new cases, but only 11 new cases and only 7 new deaths.
Y
Things have
fíjense,
switched over now
fíjense
to
que en
outside
el
of
caso
China,
de
which has
China,
actually
ellos tenían
triggered our
85,000 casos, pero solo han tenido
to do the
11
travel
nuevos casos y
restrictions
eso
in
ayuda.
other areas besides China. And I think it's important to recognize that.
Es muy importante
Because when
reconocer,
this is all over and it will end, you will see a curve
tienen
of
que
how
entender que
the
esto
coronavirus outbreak
es una curva, va a subir y
it's not
luego va a
going to be
bajar.
unidimensional or homogeneous because countries are going to do this and then that. We've seen it already with China. We're
Ustedes lo
starting
han
to see
visto
it
con,
with
con
Korea,
China,
which
lo están
brings us
viendo
now
con
to
Corea.
what we can expect in our own country.
Entonces
So
esto
if
nos
you
da
look at the
presente lo que
domestic
vamos a
cases,
esperar en
there are
nuestro
about
país.
2,226, including the repatriations, 50 deaths, 532 new cases, and 9 new deaths. Which
Okay.
means we have not
El
reached our
país
peak.
tiene, entonces voy con las
Now,
cifras, dice
we will see more cases and we will
2.226
see
personas
more
contagiadas,
suffering and death,
50 personas
predominantly, as the
fallecidas y
Vice President
535
among
nuevos
the
casos, es lo que está
vulnerables in our
diciendo.
society, the individuals with the conditions that we spoke to, and the elderly. But built in that is a challenge, and the challenge is we still have the opportunity to influence the course of that curve. So what we would like to see is that when this is all over, our curve was not like that. Our curve was like this. So that's the reason why we're implementing the things we're talking
Y
about.
él
And
dice que
finally, I
quiere
just
que
want to
la
make a
curva
comment
no sea una
about
curva tan
yesterday,
elevada,
as
sino una
a
curva
physician,
más
which is what I
fija para que sea
primarily
más
am,
fácil.
who takes care of patients every day before I was doing this.
Él estaba cuidando
Is that there are
pacientes
things
todo
that
el
happened
tiempo.
yesterday that I think are going to be really important.
Hay cosas que han pasado el día de ayer que son muy
Going to be
importantes
impacted by this, but particularly by the physicians.
y van a ser
And that
muy
is the
impactantes.
president declaring a state of national
Y
emergency.
muy
Because
importante
that
es que él ha
will be what I
declarado el
thought the
estado
word
de
that I use,
emergencia.
essentially unshackling us from any of the things that are going to get in the way of our implementing, particularly
Y eso nos va a
the new
ayudar a
powers
nosotros
giving
a
to the
poder
Secretary of
implementar
HHS,
las
Alex Azar,
cosas que debemos
and the
implementar de alguna
departments within
forma.
his agency, particularly CMS, which you're going to hear about shortly. And within that group, particularly the nursing home situation, which we
Por
really
ejemplo,
got to
con lo
protect.
de
The
las
other
casas
thing is,
de
we always get
ancianos.
asked about testing. You saw the CDO out there. Now it's all systems go. Let's look forward. The
En este
responsibility is going to be
momento
with us, but
todos
also
los
with them.
sistemas.
Because as we get knowledge about new testing, will alleviate the anxiety that we have in the world about we don't know what's going on, but it also will give the individual physician and
Y
individual
además esto le
citizen
va a dar la
the
oportunidad
opportunity to
a
know
las
where they stand.
personas y
I'll stop
a
there.
los
Happy to answer
médicos
questions
de
later.
poder.
Thank you.
Ahora van a comenzar a
Thank you.
esperar para contestar preguntas.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I just completed my second week, so I want to just start with the 4 things that I have learned in the last 2 weeks. One, we're at our best when the country comes together in a bipartisan way. And that
Hay
has really
que
been
decir que
extraordinary
está,
to witness.
el
But
país está
secondly,
mejor
what you
cuando
may
se
not have
trabaja
seen
de
as much
manera
of is the
bipartidista.
willingness of state and local governments to work together with the federal government in a seamless way,
Y que
independent
están
of party
buscando que los
affiliation.
gobiernos locales
The
trabajen
third
con el
thing has
gobierno
been the
federal.
remarkable decrease in bureaucracy and red tape in order to get us to where we are today. This is particularly evident in the CDC. And then finally, the understanding that in order to unleash and serve every American, we have to create public-private partnerships that bring
Y
together
quieren
the
que ellas sepan
extraordinary
que
strength of
para
our private
crear
sector.
alianzas,
So when we
la
saw
mejor
issues
manera
with
es trabajar
testing,
con
and
los
again, I
gobiernos
want to
privados.
remind everyone, it was a surveillance system that was set up by public health institutions in the United States, our CDC, to be a surveillance test. We then, because there was no other, moved it to a diagnostic test. But now we have the full power of our testing capacity. What do I
Están
mean by that?
trabajando
We're
en
looking at
todo
what it will
el
take to
poder
have
que tienen
consumer
para
access, and
poder
that's what the private sector
trabajar
is bringing
en
to us.
los exámenes que se le pueden
Secondly, we
hacer.
had to have automated high throughput testing because we
Y
want
van
the
a,
American people to be able to get their results quickly, and you've heard from Roche
y
and
van a
Thermo
trabajar
Fisher
en que
that
esto sea
access.
un proceso
But
bastante
finally, we
rápido,
want
que
to
los
make sure that
americanos puedan
patients get
tener sus
results.
resultados
And that was
rápido.
what's critical in that bill yesterday on reporting and requiring reporting, because obviously as we decentralize, as we move out of state and local laboratories, public health laboratories, as we move out into the hospitals and the communities, we need to know about the test results so that we can focus resources where they're needed the most. Finally, I want to conclude with something that's very important. When you are tested, and our results look very similar to South Korea now to date, where South Korea, 96+% of people with symptoms were negative.
That means
En
also that they
Estados
had
Unidos,
respiratory
el
symptoms.
96%
Let's
de
remind
las
all of us,
personas
most
que han
respiratory
tomado el
diseases are
examen
contagious.
han
So if you
salido
have any
negativos.
respiratory symptoms, you want to protect yourself and treat yourself, but you also want to protect others. And so let's everyone assume when they have a respiratory illness that you have a contagious illness, because if it isn't allergies, it's contagious. And let's use those precautions across the board. And let's, when you get a negative test, that means you're negative that day. That doesn't mean that you couldn't get the
Es muy
virus
importante que
spreading
sepan que si una
overnight
persona
because it
sale
replicates in your
negativa
nose and your nasal
en
secretions,
el test, eso
and
no
you would
quiere
have a
decir
positive
que
test
va
tomorrow. So
a,
if you have a
que va
negative
a
test,
salir
that doesn't
negativo
mean
al
that
día
you can
siguiente.
discontinue precautions.
Eso no quiere
It
decir que
doesn't mean
usted
you can
puede,
start taking
que usted
risks
se
because you
puede
were
olvidar de
negative.
todo y que
So
puede
let's
tomar
ensure that
riesgos.
if you had symptoms, you are
Si usted
contagious.
tiene
Let's treat
síntomas,
yourself as being contagious. And if you
trate
have a
de
negative
pensar
test,
que es como si
let's
lo
make sure
tuviese
that you're still protecting others from
y que
whatever
usted
you do
pueda
have,
proteger a
and that
otras
doesn't
personas de
take
que no tengan esa
reassure you
enfermedad respiratoria
personally
que usted
and you
tiene.
take additional risks. Finally, I just wanted to conclude with a group of clients and patients that we're all very worried about. These are individuals that we call long-term survivors from HIV. They're here across the country
Y está
that have
hablando sobre
survived
las
more than 4
personas
decades
que
with
han
HIV.
sobrevivido con
Many of them
el
still
SIDA
carry a level of immunocompromise.
y
To
que
all
ellos
of them
tienen
out there, please take care of
dificultades con
yourself.
su
Please
inmunidad,
ensure that you're doing
con su
everything possible
síndrome
to ensure you
inmunológico
don't get exposed.
y les pide que tengan cuidado y
Great
que no
comments.
se expongan.
Mr. Secretary, on the legislation that passed the House.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So first, in particular, I want to thank Kevin McCarthy and Kevin Brady and all the Republicans on the House side who worked with us round the clock. I'd also like to thank Mitch McConnell and his team who were providing us input as well. I especially want to thank Speaker Pelosi, who was literally available to us round the clock for
Y
the
en este
last
momento
3
están
days.
hablando de la legislación
And
que
also
va
want to just
a
thank the
salir
Vice
y están
President and the
agradeciéndole
President who were
a los
very
miembros del
specifically
Congreso, a
involved
los
in the
miembros
details with
bipartidistas
us
de ambos
and
partidos para
providing
esta
guidance. So I
nueva.
will just highlight some of the issues here. The first thing I would just say is this delivers on what the president announced in his speech the other night.
Y
Obviously, people who need to be quarantined and people who have the virus, we want them at home and we want them to continue to get paid. We don't want to be in a situation where they
quiere que todas las
fear
personas que
not
tengan que
getting
estar
paid
en la
during this
casa
2-week
que
period of time.
puedan recibir
So
pago.
the first thing that this does is it creates a very seamless process for people that work for small and medium-sized businesses.
Y
They
esto
will
es la
continue
primera
to
opción
get
para las
paid by their
personas que
employer.
tienen,
They don't have to worry
que
about
tienen
big government
pequeños y
and coming to big government
pequeños
to get
y
their checks.
medianos
They will
negocios.
continue to get paid.
Ellos,
We were
estas
also
personas van a
very sensitive to
recibir
small and
pago de sus
medium-sized
pequeños
businesses.
y
Many of
medianos
these
negocios.
businesses covered sick pay, but they're going to have many more people that may be on quarantine than normal sick pay, and we
Y para
didn't
estas
want them
medianas
to have to
empresas que
bear
van a
the
tener
cost.
más
So
gente que
100%
va.
of the cost for these limited situations will be taken care of by the federal government. And
El
then
gobierno
finally,
federal va a
we
tomar
want to think of, again,
la
as I said, how do we
responsabilidad.
deliver money to the people in the quickest way? We didn't want to take 6 months to implement some
Y
government
quiere saber
system.
cómo van
So I
a
want to thank
entregarle el
everybody
dinero
at the
a las
IRS. The way
personas.
we're able to do this, again, the IRS will issue tax credits. For most employers, they'll just deduct the money from what they owe us. But I want to emphasize, for small and medium-sized businesses that have cash flow problems, we will issue guidelines. You'll be able to come to the IRS, get the money in advance so you don't have cash flow issues. So we were very careful in balancing, making sure that
Y
people
los pequeños
got
y
paid
medianos
with not
negocios van a poder
creating undue
trabajar
burden.
con
We
el
also will have unique
servicio de taxis de los
circumstances where
Estados
schools are
Unidos.
closed. In many places, parents may be able to telecommute and take care of their kids and continue to get paid for their companies. But in certain circumstances that
En algunas áreas van a
parents
poder
have to be home
trabajar
to
desde
take
la
care of
casa, pero en
youngsters or
otros van a
elderly
tener que
people,
estar los
again,
papás cuidando de los
wanted to
niños.
ensure that they had the ability to do that. And
Y van a
as the
estar
Vice
seguros de que
President
los papás
mentioned,
van a
for kids
recibir
that
un
received
salario.
meals in
Y
schools, the
también
schools were
los
closed.
niños que
We wanted to make
reciben
sure that those
comidas de la
kids
escuela
would continue to get lunches paid for.
van a
I
buscar la
especially
manera de
want
que
to thank the
tengan sus
task force.
comidas.
Two things that were very important to us in this. There's a provision as it relates to masks. We can now ramp up to 30 million masks a month, and we wanted to make sure
El
there was
gobierno
free
está
testing,
comprando
but there's
cerca
also
de
a
30
provision
millones
that the
de
states will
máscaras
communicate back to CDC these results. So we will
Y
very
lo más
quickly
importante es este
get these
proceso
results.
de que se
Last thing I want
haga,
to say is
de
thank the
hacerse el
House for
examen,
sticking around
se
till very
deben
late last night
comunicar
at
con el
12:30.
Departamento de
I
Salud
don't want
los
people to be
resultados.
surprised. We will be doing a technical correction on Monday morning. Despite us working very hard, we had language agreed with the Speaker and with Kevin McCarthy. It didn't get into the final bill. Last night at 12:30, Kevin, the Speaker, and I agreed that they would vote on it and have an agreement there'll be a technical correction. So I don't want anybody to come back on Monday morning and be surprised by that. So again, thank you to the Vice President and the President.
Les
And let me
agradeciendo
also
al
just
equipo.
say, I would describe this as like a baseball game. The first inning was the $8 billion. This is the second inning. We have a lot more we need to do with Congress, and the Speaker and I have acknowledged it. We will be working.
Y van a seguir trabajando con el Congreso. Dice que hay mucho
The
más que
airlines
hacer a través
industry
del
in
Consejo,
particular, no
con
different
el
than after
Congreso.
9/11,
Van a trabajar con
has a
para
very
ayudar a
unique
las
circumstances.
aerolíneas,
The cruise industry, the hotel
para
industry.
el área
I
hotelera.
would say we got a lot more work to do,
Y
and
ellos
we
tienen
very much
mucho más que
appreciate the
trabajar.
bipartisan support and anticipate rolling things out very quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and I know the President would want me to say again how grateful we are for all of your efforts on behalf of the
Y él
American
está
people.
agradeciéndole por el
Acting
trabajo que ha hecho.
Secretary Chad Wolf is going to speak about our cruise lines.
Y van a hablar ahora sobre los servicios de cruceros.
Expansion to UK and Ireland.
Y van a hablar sobre la restricción para
Good afternoon. And let me start off by thanking the
Inglaterra y
partnerships
para
that we
Irlanda.
have with our private sector partners, both in the airline industry and the cruise line industry, for implementing a number of travel restrictions and security orders over the last several weeks and months. As the Vice President and the President have outlined, we have issued new directives denying foreign nationals who have been in certain affected countries, that's been 28 countries to date, from entry into the U.S.
Hay 29 países que están
At the
bloqueados
President's
para ingresar a
request, and
Estados
again, as
Unidos,
the Vice
pero el
President
presidente
outlined earlier,
ha
we've had a
pedido,
number of major
además,
cruise lines that have agreed to suspend outbound trips
los
for 30
cruceros
days. We've had a
han
number of
decidido
smaller operators
suspender.
follow that suit. And then we have also given orders to a very small handful to not sail, and that began at midnight last night as well. Today, as the Vice President outlined, the President made the decision due to the rising number of cases in the UK to apply these restrictions to both the UK
Aumentando
and
el número
Ireland.
de casos que hay
So as we move
en
forward, again, these
Inglaterra,
restrictions bar travel
estas
for
restricciones
for
comienzan,
certain foreign nationals who have been present in the UK or Ireland
es
the
para
past
todos los
14 days,
nacionales
and
que
again, that
hayan
goes effective
estado,
midnight
a todas las personas
Monday.
que hayan estado en Irlanda o
To
en
be clear,
Inglaterra, no van a
President's
poder entrar a
proclamation
Estados Unidos
and these
a
travel
menos que sean
restrictions do not
estadounidenses.
apply to U.S. citizens. I want to be very clear about that, and the Vice President mentioned that. Do not apply to U.S. citizens. So I think we saw some reporting of how do U.S. citizens get back from Europe quickly. They don't need to. They will be allowed into the U.S.
No
Legal
tienen,
permanent residents, family members under the age of 21, foreign diplomats, and then we have other
entonces,
other
los
exemptions that are outlined in the
diplomáticos, las
proclamation.
personas que son residentes de
Can certainly
Estados
travel
Unidos
back
y
to
los
the
ciudadanos
U.S. They will
americanos van a
undergo
poder
some
volver a
medical
Estados
screening and
Unidos
some other
si están en
questions
Inglaterra o
when they
Irlanda o en
arrive,
alguno de estos 29
and
países,
then they
pero
will be
van a tener
asked
que
to
estar en
self-quarantine
cuarentena.
for 14 days.
Van a tener que
These
estar en cuarentena.
restrictions to the UK and Ireland, just like the Schengen zone in China and Iran, do not apply to cargo and economic air cargo, maritime cargo, economic shipping, or the like.
Y esto no incluye
Let me
lo que
close
son
again
los
by saying the
cargos ni
President has really taken
aviones que
unprecedented action
traen
to protect the safety and the security of the American public. These actions have never been taken before.
Estas acciones
So the
nunca se habían
department,
tomado
let
antes.
me thank the Department of Homeland Security, the men and women of the department who are working day and night, 24 hours a day to
Y están
implement these
trabajando
restrictions
24 horas
to
al
make sure
día
that we do
para
this in a very
poder
orderly
lograr
and efficient
aplicar
process.
estas
We
restricciones.
also continue to look at all measures on the table, new measures that we have to implement
Y
as
están
we go forward as the
evaluando
virus
otras
continues to evolve.
acciones.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And I know the President would want me to reiterate your thanks and commendation to the dedicated men and women of DHS that are on the front lines of implementing these travel policies and doing an outstanding
Y le
job.
agradece a esta
With
persona
that,
que
I'm going to
está
recognize Seema Verma, the head of CMS, to talk about our continued
a
emphasis
cargo de implementar estas
on
restricciones.
seniors, and particularly the risk to seniors with serious underlying health conditions.
Las personas que sean
Steps that
mayores
we're
y que
taking relative
tengan
to nursing
situaciones
homes and
delicadas de
inspections
salud,
and guidance to protect those most vulnerable.
van a tratar de proteger a los más vulnerables.
As the president and the vice president said, we did take action last night to
Tomaron
indicate that
acciones.
nursing homes should restrict all visitors effective immediately, and that includes all non-essential personnel. There are some exceptions for end of life. We're also canceling all group activities and communal dining, and there's active screening of healthcare workers that are in the facility. The emergency declaration, as Dr. Fauci said, is also very important to our healthcare workforce.
Entonces, a partir de este momento queda completamente restringido la entrada a los centros donde viven las personas mayores. Solamente si la persona está con su vida en peligro, alguien va a poder entrar, y todo el personal que no sea esencial no va a poder ingresar a estos centros.
Weeks ago that we had a call to action for all healthcare facilities to double down around infection control practices.
Y está pidiendo que tengan prácticas de controles de infección en este tipo de centros, sobre todo en estas casas hogares.
And those inspections have already started. Been doing those in Washington State and California.
Y esas inspecciones las están empezando en el estado de Washington y en California.
Thank you, Seema. And I'm mindful of the fact that there are likely many seniors in nursing homes around America that could be watching us at this hour.
Y él sabe que hay muchas personas viéndolo desde esas casas hogares.
To ensure that all the guidance from CMS, all the guidance from CDC about preventing the spread of infectious disease.
Y que están tratando de prevenir la infección.
And the threat here, I want to be clear, as Dr. Fauci has said, I might just ask him to emphasize again. The threat here is not to seniors, particularly, or to seniors that
y eso no es un peligro para las personas adultas. Esto es un peligro para las personas adultas que tienen algún problema de salud.
All of those other seniors that are watching from nursing homes or maybe watching from home.
A todas esas otras personas adultas que nos están viendo desde estas casas hogares. Cuando usted es un adulto mayor, el sistema inmunológico no es igual de cuando era joven.
Thank you. A couple more updates for you.
Van
I
a
want to hear from the
hacer dos
Surgeon
cosas
General
más.
and Dr. Carson, and then we'll go to as many questions as you have. Okay? Surgeon General.
Thank you. Yesterday was a very important day for
Ayer
our
fue
nation's
un día muy
providers
importante
and for our
para
nation's
Estados
patients
Unidos
in terms of the emergency declaration
por
and
al
also in
haberse
terms
declarado la
of
emergencia.
the agreement with the House that Secretary Mnuchin negotiated. And I want you all to understand,
Y quiero que
straight talk
todos
from the nation's doctor,
entiendan
we really need you all to lean into and prioritize the health and safety of the American people.
que todos
No more
tienen,
bickering, no more partisanship, no more criticism or finger pointing. There'll be plenty of time for that. But we all need to hit the reset
y está
button and lean
pidiendo
into
que no se den
moving forward
críticas
the
y
health
que
and
ni se
safety
estén
of the American
atacando unos
people
a
as
los
their top
otros y que
priority.
todo el mundo
More
tiene
stories
que
on how people
trabajar en
can protect
conjunto
themselves,
y que hay que protegerse
how
individualmente
people can get the resources that they need
y
that
que
we've
la
unleashed
gente
from the
tenga
federal
los
government and
recursos que
state and local
requiere
governments.
de
Less
manera
stories
del gobierno
look at
federal.
what happened in the past. Again, there'll be time for that.
Y luego
I
ya
want
habrá
you all to
tiempo para
understand,
eso.
as Dr. Fauci said, this will get worse before it gets better, but
Y
we are
es muy
making
importante que
progress.
entiendan que esto
to
va a
flatten
ser
the
peor
curve.
antes de que
We
sea
are
mejor,
making progress.
pero
Three
se están
important
están
Number
haciendo
one,
progresos.
almost all people will recover. 99% of people
Que
will recover.
aproximadamente el
People need to know that. We heard a great
98-99% de
story
las
on NPR
personas
this morning about an 89-year-old from that nursing home facility
se van a
in,
recuperar.
in Seattle who is recovered.
Y tenemos
Number
a
two,
personas
we
sobre
must
los
lean into protecting the
89
most vulnerable.
años que se han
Those with
recuperado.
chronic or severe medical conditions, especially seniors. Now is the time for us to lean into that, and we are taking the measures to protect them at HHS. Secretary Azar, Bob Cadlick, Bob Redfield, Admiral Chirwa are hard at work right now, leaning into that from the federal level, but we need your help.
Y
Social
necesitamos la
distancing
ayuda
and
de todos.
mitigation, they're not to protect the 30-year-old or the 20-year-old from getting coronavirus. They're to protect your nana. They're to protect your granddaddy. They're to protect the people who you love in your lives, and we need your help. And finally, we all have a role to play.
Y dice que todos
If we are
tenemos un
complacent,
rol que jugar.
selfish, uninformed, if we spread fear and distrust and misinformation, this situation will last longer and more
Y
people
que
will be
si
hurt.
usted
But if we
pasa
pitch in and we
desinformación, si
share the
usted solo
facts,
piensa
we will
usted en
flatten the
usted,
curve and we will
va a ser
overcome
mucho más
this
difícil y
situation. So
esto va a durar
finally,
más tiempo.
my prescription, know your risk,
Sepa
understand your
sus
circumstances,
riesgos, vea
and
sus
get the facts to protect
circunstancias
yourself at
y trate de
coronavirus.gov.
tener las informaciones correctas sobre el
and
virus.
Secretary and Dr. Ben Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Sometimes you have to stop and think about what's unique about the United States.
Dice que hay
And
que pensar
one
lo
of
que
the
es
things
único
that
de
is really
Estados Unidos.
wonderful, and we should stop and think about more often, is that we have so many people who are willing to put aside their self-interest.
Y
for the
hemos
good of the
visto que hay
nation.
muchas
And I wanna
personas
thank
que
those
han
people
dejado a
at
lado
the
sus
federal,
intereses por poner el
state,
interés de la
and
nación
local
primero,
level, who put their own lives on pause
que
in
no
order
están
to
poniendo
try to
sus,
help their fellow
sus vidas en pausa
Americans. Makes a big difference.
y hace una
But just
diferencia
as
muy grande.
importantly, I want to thank the private sector.
Y quiere
There are
agradecerle al
so many
sector
in the private
privado.
sector who have volunteered their services, who have stepped up,
Hay mucha
who
gente del
are
sector
willing to
privado que
recognize that
de manera
maybe they're going to
voluntaria
take a bit of a financial hit,
y que
but
ellos
they
van a recibir
recognize that we
un
have
golpe
to create the
financiero de alguna
appropriate
forma,
environment so that everybody can succeed in
pero
this
ellos están
nation.
preocupados
And so
por su
often we
alrededor
overlook those individuals. I want them to know how much we appreciate it.
y quiero que sepan cuánto
What
los
we're
apreciamos.
facing now is a significant threat.
Lo que estamos
You know,
en este
as a
momento es
physician
un
and
riesgo
a surgeon, I face
significativo.
a lot of very, very complex problems.
Es un problema complejo.
And most of them we were able to overcome, not so much because of me, but because of the fact that we had incredible people working on this together.
Y esto no ha sido por una sola persona, es un equipo, no solo sobre él.
In the world. And
Trabajar
that's
en
what I'm
equipo hace
seeing
la
here
diferencia. Y es
in
lo que
the
estamos
government
viendo aquí.
right now. The people behind me with
Y es lo que se
others
está viendo
who are
detrás de
willing
mí.
to work together as a team
Estamos
to
trabajando
be
en
able to
equipo
accomplish the goals for the
para
American
lograr
people.
las
And I
metas.
used to think we had long hours in medicine.
Y él cree que
Working
tenemos
24
muchas horas
hours
en
straight,
medicina.
working at midnight, 2 in the morning. This team is working that way too. I
Todo
frequently
este
get
equipo está
calls
trabajando de la
at
misma
9,
manera.
10, 11, midnight about
Están trabajando hasta la medianoche para poner los planes y
and
las
I just want to
políticas.
thank all the people who are involved, and I hope that we as a nation
Y ella espera que
can
como
use
nación
this as an opportunity to
y
pull
usemos
together
esto
for
como
good.
una
President
oportunidad.
Trump is going to be recommending a national day of prayer.
Y es por eso que el presidente está
And,
haciendo
we've gotten
un
away
día
from
de
prayer
oración
and
nacional.
faith a lot in this country. There's nothing wrong with godly principles, no matter what your faith
Y no
is.
importa, no hay
Loving
nada
your
malo
neighbor,
con los principios de Dios, no
caring
importa cuál
about the
sea tu
people around
religión.
you, developing your God-given talents to the utmost so that you become valuable to the people around you, having values and principles that govern your life. Those are things that made America zoom to the top of the world in record time. And those are the things that will keep us there too.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Okay, questions?
Vice President, first of all, can you explain why Secretary Azar is not here? And also, can you indicate to us, one of the things the president rolled out yesterday was a discussion of Google partnering with the federal government. And then later Google said it was not aware that this was going to be announced and that it was not prepared in the same way the president forecast to the country. So where's the discrepancy about the website, Google's involvement, and why is the Health and Human Services Secretary not present?
Secretary Azar was at the coronavirus task force meeting this morning. He's back to work, and we'll have a changing roundup for these presentations so we can get quickly to your questions. But Secretary Azar is doing a remarkable job and working 7 days a week for the American people and making a difference. With regard to Google and other private partners, I know Google issued a statement that
Está
they are
hablando
planning to launch a
sobre lo que
website.
puede ser
I think they gave a date
Google, el
of
trabajo de
Monday,
Google que ellos anunciaron el
March
día de ayer.
16th. We're working literally around the clock.
Ellos
And I
están
know that our
trabajando
whole
sobre el
team
reloj
working on this public and private partnership
en un
couldn't be more
trabajo entre
grateful
Ellos no
to
pueden estar
all
más
of the
agradecidos del
hardworking
trabajo que
people
están
at Google
haciendo la
that are
empresa
helping put this
privada y la empresa
website
pública.
together. But tomorrow, 5 o'clock, we'll have very specific.
Mañana a las 5
very
de la tarde
specific
van a
description
tener
tomorrow about
respuestas.
when the website will be available, when
¿Cuándo van a
the
estar
parking lot
la,
sites will be available for people to be tested, and we're working right now with state and local communities to determine where it's best to roll those out. That's a
y están
number
hablando
of,
con las comunidades para
a number
saber
of
en dónde
communities
van a
are
poder
already
poner
doing
eso.
a great job meeting their needs, so we're trying to flow the resources. But 5 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll have details.
Mañana.
Can you tell us whether you have also been tested for coronavirus?
Que le están preguntando al vicepresidente si él se hizo el examen del coronavirus.
Between the letter that was issued from the White House physician's office just before midnight last night, in which the physician concluded that you and the president did not need to be tested.
I know the president announced that he has been tested.
Al presidente
I'm going to
anunció
speak
que él
immediately
ha
after this press conference with the White House
sido,
Physician's Office. At this
ha tenido el
point,
test.
as of last night, the White House Physician's Office had said that neither I nor Mrs. Pence either had the symptoms or the contacts
Y
that
en este
would
momento él no
necessitate
tiene ningún
testing. And maybe I
síntoma
might ask
y él le va a preguntar
Dr. Burks to
a los
step up.
doctores.
As we expand testing across the country,
Mientras estamos expandiendo
we
los
want people to be able
exámenes
to
en
go to a
todo
website.
el
There'll be a
país
questionnaire there to determine whether or not a test
y
is in
van a
order.
haber unos cuestionarios
So we
donde
want
las
to make sure
personas
that
van a
people are
poder
being
saber si
tested
deben
that have the
tener el
symptoms.
test.
But I'm going to speak to the White House physician right after
Pero va a
this press
hablar
briefing, and
después de
Mrs.
la
Pence and
rueda
I
de
will be
prensa,
more
él va a
than
hablar con el
happy
doctor
to be
de la Casa
tested.
Blanca.
Dr. Burks, you want to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice President, for mentioning that, because as I told you, in South Korea, there are 250,000 plus tests.
Como les he dicho, en Corea del Sur han hecho 250,000 exámenes y el 95% ha salido negativo. Y estamos aprendiendo de lo que ellos han aprendido.
So it's not just a simple checkbox website. It's actually going to go through critical symptoms, and that's why we're giving ourselves the weekend to get it put up. So far in the United States, from LabCorp and Quest, they're running about a 99 to 98% negativity.
En Estados Unidos,
This
cerca del
always worries me
99,
because I've worked in public health a
98%.
long time. When you tell someone they're negative, yes, it's reassuring, but the last thing we want is them so reassured that they stop
Pero es
practicing these
muy
critical
importante, cada vez que se le
practices
diga a alguien
that
que
are
es
going to
negativo,
protect all
tiene
of
que
us.
seguir
This epidemic will
practicando.
be
Esto es
stopped at the
una,
community level.
esta
Those are the
epidemia
individuals, it's Americans, and their response
va
that
a,
will get us over this hump. And
va
that's
a
why,
parar por el
yes, we'll
trabajo de
have
los
testing
americanos.
available. We'll have to
Los
know
exámenes
that
están
many are going to be
disponibles
negative, and you're going to have to help us carry that message that
y
that
es
means
importante.
just at that moment you're negative, you need to continue
Es
to
muy
do
importante
all
que
of
se
your
entienda que si
protection
sale
and protection
negativo
of
en la
others
prueba
to
de
ensure you
inmediato,
remain there.
tiene que seguir teniendo las
Follow up
precauciones.
on the Google question about the website. Google said that the website they are developing is in its early stages and will be limited to the San Francisco Bay Area. That seems very different from what you and the president are saying.
Well, what Google said was that they're planning to launch a website this coming Monday, March 16th, that will enable individuals to do a risk assessment and be scheduled for testing at pilot testing sites in the Bay Area with the goal of expanding to other locations. And we're very grateful for that. The objective here is to have a website up very quickly that first people in the areas that have been deeply impacted, Washington State, California, New York. Now we've seen community spread in Massachusetts and also Florida. So we want to make sure that we're flowing those resources as well as those remote testing sites in that area. But that's a statement I was handed this morning from them. And again, I want to tell you folks, we're working 24/7 on this. We're going to have very specific details on the rollout of this new public-private partnership and testing at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Please.
Mañana van a dar más detalles sobre el tema de lo que van a hacer los exámenes.
Give us more details on the potential financial assistance for the entertainment industry,
Le
for
están
the
pidiendo
cruise
detalles sobre
industry that
cómo
the
van a hacer la
administration is
asistencia
looking at
financiera que el
right now.
gobierno federal
And
le
if
va a
I may,
entregar
on
a
the
la
temperature
industria del
checks, were all the members of the
entretenimiento
cabinet
y
who are in here
también
today, did they also have their temperatures
a
checked?
los cruceros. Y le
Okay,
está
so you're
pidiendo
nodding.
si todo
But
el
is
mundo
it
de la Casa
also
Blanca
the
o
White House policy now that anyone who, for instance, comes into the Oval Office needs to have their temperature checked at
y
the door?
si es una política de la Casa
I
Blanca
refer those
ahora
questions to
chequear.
the White House Physician's Office. Yes, I have been.
chequear la temperatura. Él le va a hacer esas preguntas al doctor de la Casa Blanca.
Let me ask the Secretary of the Treasury to address what may be the next few innings. As I thought Secretary Mnuchin put it very well. We got the initial support, $8.3 billion from the Congress. The House passed legislation to act on the president's priorities, but we understand the president's made it very, very clear, whether it's our airline industry, our cruise industries, that we expect to be coming back to Congress to make sure that our
Ellos están esperando tener que volver al Congreso para ayudar a entonces a las compañías que han sido afectadas por lo que ha sido la situación del coronavirus.
That we're going to make sure that they can come all the way back. Mr. Secretary?
So let me just emphasize that this is a unique circumstance. This isn't
Déjeme
like the
explicarle que esto
financial
es
crisis
esto es una situación única. Esto,
and let me just say, there's no question, because of the things that we're requesting people to do, there are parts of the economy that are shutting down or slowing down dramatically.
Y lo que se le está pidiendo a las personas se entiende que esto va a afectar la economía de manera dramática, pero van a usar todas las todas las estrategias que tienen que usar para poder ayudar a que la economía vuelva a arrancar. Y solamente les expliqué la más obvia porque se está paralizando todo.
There's many industries that are impacted by this. I would also say there's many individuals. The president has talked about
no solamente son empresas, pero también son las personas individualmente.
Through refundable tax credits. We are 100% committed, and I can assure you there is bipartisan support.
Y le dejo saber que hay apoyo bipartidista para esto.
We don't have that we had in the financial crisis. We'll be going back to Congress. And one of the reasons why this bill was so important is this is just the second step on bipartisan support. We will make sure that the economy recovers out of this. In whatever
segundo paso es que estar seguros de que la economía va a poder recuperarse.
How much more money would you like to see? I'm not talking about the previous bill. I'm talking about in the future for those industries.
Let me just comment. It would be premature to comment on.
Le están preguntando que cuánto dinero creo que van a necesitar esas industrias de ayuda, pero en este momento es prematuro hablar de eso. Hay más de 100 cosas que están tratando de buscar. En este momento se habló de que se van a suspender los intereses de los créditos estudiantiles.
Parts of our economy are very much impacted by the temporary low price of oil. So the president, the vice president, and everybody else is 100% committed. We got 100 different ideas and whatever we need to do.
Está 100% comprometido en solventar esto.
Mr. Vice President, thank you so much. I have a question for you, and if I can, for Dr. Birx. First for you, sir, if I may. Your language has changed a bit. You've tweaked it a little bit. Early on, you said that there was a low risk for the average American to contract the coronavirus. Right. Recently, your language has altered a little bit. You're saying the risk of a serious illness remains low. Can you address why the change? Is the potential of contracting the virus for an average American
no longer low? Que su lenguaje ha cambiado.
Dr. Birx.
Y que antes decía que el riesgo era muy bajo, pero que el riesgo de que usted se contagie y tenga una situación complicada es el que mejor. Entonces le pregunta que si todos entonces vamos a estar en algún momento contagiados.
It's now a little more than a few weeks since we had our first instance of community spread in the United States. And letting the American people know the president took every step to prevent the coronavirus from coming.
Es importante que sepan que el presidente tomó todas las medidas para prevenir que
unprecedented and extraordinary the suspension of all travel from China was when the president made that decision before the end of January.
Hay que entender que él suspendió todos los viajes desde China desde
South Korea, the screening
los últimos días de enero.
But allow me to let Dr. Birx address that, because what we're going to continue to do is tell the American people, straight from the health experts, the best information that we have.
Y van a estar diciéndole a todas las personas la mejor la información que ellos tengan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice President. So every day we analyze data from around the
Todos los
world
días se están
and
analizando
look
la
at
data
age
de
groups
todas
that are
partes del mundo.
impacted, look at and try to get a sense of the amount of asymptomatic patients. Now remember, all of the groups that are doing screening are screening on symptoms.
Y
And so
todas las
we're trying to
personas que se
figure out,
están
based on that
recibiendo
information and
examen
based on the
solamente
profile
son
of
los
the
que tienen
epidemic,
síntomas.
to really understand, is there a whole group under 20 that really doesn't get significant symptoms?
Y es un grupo
Yet we don't
importante
believe that
con menos de
uniquely
20
people
años.
under 20 are naturally protected from the virus. So are they a group that are potentially asymptomatic and spreading
Y
the
creen
virus?
que es un grupo
Because
que
of
está
that, and because
menos,
of that
que tiene
unknown, we
menos
don't want to
síntomas y que
say
estaría
that the risk is low when we don't know how
regando el
low
virus
the
de alguna
numbers
forma.
are for people who are asymptomatic. We have a good sense of the number of people who are having symptoms,
Y,
and we have a good
tienen unos
sense of
buenos
who is deeply
tienen una buena
impacted
idea de
by
los que
this. I
tienen
mean, if you
síntomas
look at
pero
all the
no
data
tienen,
coming out of all of the countries that
pero
we
están viendo
triangulate on a twice-a-day
los datos de
basis,
todos los países
people
que se
of a
están.
certain age are at higher risk for a worse outcome, and that's
Pero,
why we have been
ustedes
so
pueden ver,
laser
las personas
focused
de
on
cierta
that.
edad son las
But the
que
other
tienen
side of
mucho
the
más riesgo.
epidemic is how much transmission.
Pero
And
la
until
otra
you
parte de una
really
epidemia es
understand
saber
how
cuál
many people are
es
asymptomatic and
la transmisión.
asymptomatically passing the virus on, we think it's better for the entire American public to know
Es muy
that the
importante
risk
que
of
todos
serious illness may be low, but they could be potentially spreading the virus to others.
Y,
And that's why we're
quiero que
asking
todos los
every
americanos
American
sepan
to
que si
take
viene el
personal
riesgo de que
responsibility
usted se
to
enferme
prevent that
gravemente,
spread. And that's
es
why
muy
we
probable
made
que
all
usted
of these
pueda, hay un riesgo
recommendations
importante de que
broad,
usted pueda estar
even past
regando el
people who
virus.
have symptoms or no symptoms, because we need to have everybody taking precautions.
Pero necesitamos que todo el mundo tenga precauciones.
You said tomorrow you're speaking to all of the governors. Are we
Monday?
Monday, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we're going to speak to all the governors. Are we looking at any sort of domestic travel restrictions?
Y le está preguntando sobre las restricciones de viajes locales, ya que el lunes se van a reunir con los gobernadores.
Some of his members over the weekend. Are you confident that the Senate's going to take up this House legislation and get it done quickly?
Well, the president expressed strong support for the legislation. It received a very large bipartisan vote in the House, but we respect the process. We're grateful for the support that Leader McConnell has expressed for the process and the priorities that the president has outlined. We'll be working with members of the Senate to unpack the bill for them and why President Trump endorsed it yesterday, and we believe that they should move it expeditiously to passage. With regard to additional travel restrictions, let me just say, as the president said,
Están hablando sobre las restricciones de viaje
we're
interna.
considering
Como dijo el presidente, están considerando todas las opciones, pero no se han tomado ninguna decisión. Ellos van a seguir viendo la situación, van a continuar escuchando a los expertos. Es así como se suspendió el viaje de todos los viajes de Europa, y eso depende de los expertos. Y le prometemos a los americanos, y vamos a tomar cualquier paso que sea necesario para proteger a los americanos, y juntos vamos a avanzar.
What's being done to help those in public